This episode of Playing on a Budget is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, the #1 source of games and gaming accessories, and by GatheringMagic.com, the #1 source of Magic the Gathering news and articles. Hi there, it's Kevin with GatheringMagic.com here with another episode of Playing on a Budget. For this Playing on a Budget, I think we are going to go back into the theme of actually taking an event deck. So every time there's going to be an event deck release, I'm going to actually buy it and then play it and then see how well it goes. And we're going to make a few changes to it before we play it. Now this one's quite the bargain. It's being sold on CoolStuffInc.com for $17.99. So you definitely get your value full of this. This one isn't packed full as much value as the Born of the Gods event deck, but it's utilizing a strategy that I find very, very fun. This is very similar to the Nivix Cyclops deck that I've played in the past, and we probably are going to change it back to the Nivix Cyclops rather than stick with this list. But here's the list that it actually comes with, and we'll actually pull it up here on MTGO. But again, for $18, you can't go wrong, as it does have an Aetherling, it does have a Battlefield Thaumaturge, a Chandra's Phoenix, which is probably the most valuable card in the deck, as well as some other fun rares, an Ogre Battledriver, Oracle of Bones, and then 3 Young Pyromancers, which are pricey little uncommons. And then it's got some Magma Jets, Lightning Strikes, and a Mizzium Mortars in here. So you probably do get your value of $17.99. And it's a nice, complete deck, but I definitely don't think it is on the same power level as the last event deck, and it definitely doesn't have the focus the last event deck does. And I'll show you why I have come to that conclusion. Anyway, let's look at the deck here. I pulled it up on MTGO. So, like, a lot of this doesn't seem to fit. I'm okay with Aetherling in here. Aetherling is more of something I'd put in the sideboard. There's no way I'd run it in the main board. In a deck like this, as you want to be as synergistic as possible, in a 6-drop, when I've played this deck, you want to be killing on turn like 4 and 5 a lot of times, and I'll show you how to do that. And I'm thinking this deck just doesn't have the focus. First of all, there's a better 3-drop here in the exact same mana cost as the Spellheart Chimeras. So we're just going to ditch these guys right now. I don't like them in this strategy, as how many, by like turn 4, turn 5, how many can you even realistically think are going to be in the graveyard? Maybe 3, maybe 4. So he's a 4/3 for 3 mana flying trample. It's okay, but I mean, if you're in black, you can just slam out a Herald of Torment that's a 3/3 flying for 3 without any huge stipulations. One of the problems I do not like Spellheart Chimera is it's so vulnerable to both Lightning Strike and Bile Blight. Right now in Standard, you really need to be able to survive the Bile Blight and survive the Lightning Strike, or otherwise I don't really think that the creature gets that nod. In fact, in this deck, I'd probably rather have more Phoenixes, as you do have Magma Jets and Lightning Strikes, but even Phoenix is going to be a little bit awkward in this deck. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to trade these Spell Hearts at no cost, because they're uncommons, for this amazing card here of Nivix Cyclops. So we're going to add 4 of these bad boys. You all know my history with Nivix Cyclops. It's one of my favorite cards printed out of Dragon's Maze. It's a very, very highly played deck in Pauper, and it can still work in Standard. So Nivix Cyclops, so you really don't want to go the Magma Jet and Lightning Strike route. Magma Jet over Lightning Strike. We're going to keep them in for now, but I'm going to show you how you can actually upgrade this deck into some pretty cool 4th turn and 5th turn kills. Now, any deck that utilizes Young Pyromancer, Battlefield Thaumaturge, and Guttersnipe, it is a sin. I'm going to tell you right now, you are sinning. You are being a bad person if you are not playing Hidden Strings. So, Hidden Strings is my absolute favorite card in Standard at the moment. It is the roguiest of cards. You can get some really, really cool interactions with this guy. I brewed around a ton of decks with like Pain Seers and Disciple of Deceits and Daring Thieves. Oh, wow, I really want to put a Daring Thief in this deck. I'm going to have to go by all restraint not to put a Daring Thief in this deck, as Daring Thief would be pretty fun to actually switch. Like, you can switch Pyromancer tokens, and I'll probably put like 1 in the sideboard just for fun, but it does dilute the power of the deck a little bit. But Magic is all about having fun, so I think that putting a Daring Thief in the sideboard is the route to go. So anyway, but Hidden Strings is really our engine in this deck. It's the best card in this deck. If you get hooked up to a Guttersnipe or a Young Pyromancer, you are so good to go. Again, the god draw in this deck is to have Hidden Strings in your opening hand, or at least be able to draw into it. So since the combination of Hidden Strings is so good with Young Pyromancer and Guttersnipe, we are actually going to get some more of them. So they gave us 3. We need to add 1 more. So gonna add 1 more Young Pyromancer. And we are going to add 1 more Guttersnipe. And so with that being said, I don't think we need this Oracle Bones. Oracle Bones is very awkward in this deck. It doesn't really have anything insane to cast into. I just don't like it. I mean, best case scenario, it's a 5/3, and if they don't tribute it, we get a free spell. The best free spell I can think of in this is like a Steam Augury or a Fated Conflagration, which both I really don't even like in this deck either, as they're just too slow and not impactful enough. Steam Augury in this format doesn't seem to be as good as like Fact or Fiction was in the old formats, as information is huge in this format, where it gives Mono Black and Esper Control exact knowledge of what they need to play around. And one of the strengths of this deck is to just come out of nowhere, just come out swinging, and actually if they don't have the answer, you can just win again with a huge pumped up Nivix Cyclops or Guttersnipe. Now, Nivix Cyclops and Hidden Strings is nice because you can actually tap down their defenders and it automatically puts them up to a +3/+0. And so you have a 4/4 that with defenders tapped down. But another cool thing with Hidden Strings is you can actually untap 2 of your lands, and this becomes like a free spell. So you just cast it for free. And if you cipher it on, I mean, what it really gets its value from is the Young Pyromancer and the Guttersnipes. And Nivix Cyclops, though, it's fine as well. You really don't want to end up ciphering this on Nivix Cyclops, and then after the first time you use it, it loses a lot of value with Nivix Cyclops. But the synergy with your other cards is just so huge that's why we're including it. Again, tapping down defenders is huge. Turn and Burn is a great card. I absolutely love it in this deck, actually. The synergy with Battlefield Thaumaturge is awesome. You can actually make a creature lose all its abilities and become a 0/1 and block it with a Pyromancer token. I've actually turned Desecration Demons and actually blocked it with the Pyromancer token that it creates. So again, most of the rest of these cards are fine. Flames of Fireburn is fine, especially with the Battlefield Thaumaturge. I'm going to give the nod over the Turn and Burn. Anger of Gods is just, I can't see a point to Anger of Gods in this deck. We're going to just cut it right off the bat. I think Mizzium Mortars is more of a sideboard card. It's good against like the 2/4, either like Loxodon and Smiter or the Centaurs, the 2/4 Centaurs, as well as anything else that survives the 3 toughness. Searing Blood is fine, but again, I don't know if it quite will make the cut, and I'm going to bring these burn cards over, and if that's the case, the Phoenix really loses its value again. So again, this deck is starting to look less and less like the original deck they gave us, but I'm going to show you it's going to get a lot more power if we actually, you know, cut cards and actually bring in cards that have a lot more synergy with the Nivix Cyclops, with the Guttersnipe, and whatnot. So one of the things with Hidden Strings that is so amazing is Double Strike. So what we're going to add right off the bat is an Armed. And Armed and Dangerous, we want all 4 of these. It is that powerful in this deck. It is huge to put on a Nivix Cyclops. You just plain win. Now, another amazing little trick with Armed, since it's sorcery speed, is we have to bring in Quicken. And Quicken makes your sorcery spells cast as instant speed, plus it cantrips itself. So with Guttersnipe, you get 2 damage. With Young Pyromancer, you get a token. And with Nivix Cyclops, you get +3/+0. So it absolutely is the card of choice. Again, Oracle Bones is not good. We're going to take it out. Fated Conflagration, it's okay, but again, we want to be blitzing our opponent, and this is a very aggressive deck. Steam Augury, I'm going to cut it too. So again, this might not look like the deck that we started with, but I still think this is the best we can actually turn that deck while still staying within the budget. So again, Flames of the Fireburn are fine, but I'm gonna give the nod to the Turn and Burn. I think 2 are okay, and I'm okay with trying an Ogre Battledriver. I'm gonna add 2 more cards, 2 more creatures, because we do need our creature count up a little bit more. 14 is not enough. And another card that pairs perfectly with Hidden Strings is Akroan Crusader. So we're gonna bring in the Akroan Crusader. It also puts out tokens, and it'll have some synergy with the Ogre Battledriver, and we'll keep it in for flavor. And again, now you can hook up. Now we have 16 creatures, which is probably the right number, hooked up with Hidden Strings. We have 3 more cards we can put in this deck. Divination's okay. I'm not against playing it, but I do like a card over Divination, which I think is very great in this deck, is Izzet Charm. Izzet Charm is a 2 of, and we're going to throw 2 of them in the sideboard. It does what we want it to do. It either can dig for 2 cards, it can do 2 damage to our creature player, or it can counter a non-creature spell unless they pay 2. Very good against the mono black and against the Esper builds, and very good against Burn as well. So I mean, this is the guts of the deck. A few other cards I think that we're gonna we're going to finish this off since we do have a double striker in this, and we do want to be able to create the most damage possible, is we're going to put in Titan Strengths. I like Titan Strengths because they are just 1 mana to cast them, and they give us 3+1, and they scry. And again, they work so well with Nivix Cyclops. You can actually go lethal on Armed and Dangerous and Titan Strength on even like a Guttersnipe with hidden strings. So, and it's another target we can actually target the Akroan Crusader with. So I definitely like using Titan Strengths in this build, because we have Armed and Dangerous, Titan Strengths, hidden strings that can now hook up with Akroan Crusader. If we have to turn it, we can to get a token. And yeah, so again, I think this is the deck list we want to use. 25 lands is absolutely unnecessary, especially with scrying, so we can take out some of these lands. And I'm thinking we will have enough budget left to actually, we will actually want more than that, to put in maybe a few steam vents, or even better, the Temple of Epiphany. Is that what it's called? Temple of Epiphany? Yes. So we're going to bring in 2. I'm going to see if we can do a full, I think that we do have within the budget, because I think with the budget right now, we've actually, if trading like these Phoenixes and whatnot, we do have room for the Temple of Epiphany, so we can actually get rid of some of these mountains. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mountains. I believe we do want a little heavier on the mountains, so that's fine. So the Izzet Guildgates and the Temple of Epiphanies. Again, steam vents, we'll look at how much this costs, and then if we can add some steam vents, we will. But this is kind of the gist of the deck that I'd like to run. We have 2 more slots. I'd actually like to get this up to a few more creatures. So, and these creatures, we'll just put in 1 because they do have like an $8 price tag. We'll check the price there to, to see if we can actually afford this. Is Phrophetic Flamespeaker. Again, Phrophetic Flamespeaker is awesome with Titan Strengths, and since we have 1 more slot, I think Titan Strength will get the nod here. So let's see if Strength, there we go. We'll get that last Titan Strength in here, and again, we'll go over a few cards here of what we could add to the deck to really make this good. So now that we have, Dispels are great in the sideboard, I am definitely not against them. Essence Scatters are kind of unnecessary. They're good against certain decks, but they're just dead cards against like Burn and Esper, so I don't think that we need to bring them in, because we're gonna bring in a route that actually can deal with creatures, since we are playing the Izzet Staticasters, and a cool little combination between Izzet Staticasters plus any one of your tokens just becomes so good as Gorgon's Head. And we might just use a one of, if we get this combination, we get this combination. Negates and Dispels are awesome, but we don't need too many of each. We'll probably run 2 Negates, 2 Dispels. Flames of the Firebrand, we don't need so many. I'm just going to go down. I think 1 of Harnessed by Force is fine. Izzet Charms are great. Elixir of Immortality, I don't know if we really care about trying to stabilize. This is really good against Burn, but I don't really see any other implications. I'm going to take out the Aetherling. Mizzium Mortars can stay in. That is fine. The Magma Jets are actually fine to stay in, but we don't need the Lightning Strikes, and we don't need the Phoenix as well, or the Searing Blood. So this would be the sideboard that I'd most likely use. Maybe even take out a Magma Jet. There's another Mizzium Mortars. Magma Jets are nice because they scry and they really help set up. And I think the Staticasters are fine too. So anyway, what we're going to look at right now is we're going to look at standard Strive cards that we could add to this. And we are going to, of course, eliminate black and green and white and search for Strive cards. And there's some really cool cards like Aerial Formation, gives +1/+1, and Flying. That is not too shabby with both your double striking Phrophetic Flamespeaker or your Nivix Cyclops. It kind of gives it unblockable. So we're gonna put an Aerial Formation. We're probably just gonna cut a Titan Strength for it. And Harnessed by Force we do have in the sideboard. Hour of Need. Hour of Need is more of a sideboard card than anything. It does have Strive. It can turn all your guys into 4/4 blue Phoenixes. You can do that in response to them trying to remove. But the problem I do have with Hour of Need, I'd want to go up either more in Goblin Electromancers or in the Battlefield Thaumaturge to really make this guy useful. Like if you have multiple Battlefield Thaumaturges out, it costs 1 blue to initially cast it and another 1 blue to strive, and it just, you turn all of your tokens from Akroan Crusader and the Young Pyromancer into 4/4s instead of 1/1s. So I'm definitely cool with that. We'll put one in the sideboard. And if you want to see a deck list that utilizes that, I actually do have a deck list that uses Hour of Need plus the Young Pyromancers plus the Crusaders, and use a lot more of these and a few other token producing things like Launch the Fleet. And it's a really fun deck, but I don't think it really has a place in this deck other than a one of. Rouse the Mob is kind of cool. It gives +2/+0 and Trample, and you can actually strive it onto 2 targets. Again, the problem with this is, I guess it's good with like the Young Pyromancer tokens. I just think that Titan Strength is just a little more powerful than this. So again, we'll put it in for now, but it'll probably most likely not get the cut. Actually, let's get rid of this My cards here. There's some other cards like Blinding Flare is pretty cool. Again, this kind of feels like giving your guy unblockable. Blinding Flare, any number of target creatures can't block this turn, so you can make a creature not block. The good news about this is if they don't have any creatures, you can still cast this to get a trigger off Young Pyromancer, Guttersnipe, or you can even cast it on your Akroan Crusader. So we'll initially put in the Blinding Flare and see if it ends up making the cut. Cura's Dismissal. That just returns stuff. We don't want that. Polymorphous Rush is kind of cool because, again, you can turn all of your tokens into a similar card. What I've done with Polymorphous Rush, the only problem I have with this deck is you usually want to turn your tokens into like Nivix Cyclops or Guttersnipes. But by that point, you've already exhausted a lot of your mana. And again, this goes a lot higher in Battlefield Thaumaturge decks than anything. Twin Flame is another really cool card because you can actually put in copies of Nivix Cyclops or put in copies of Guttersnipes for just 2 mana. The unfortunate thing about this, though, is, again, you're initially spending the 2 mana to copy something, and then it doesn't get the first, like, it doesn't get the +3/+0 and can't attack with if you copy Nivix Cyclops, so you're going to have to do it one more time. But it is kind of cool to, like, copy 2 Guttersnipes, and if you have, like, a Quicken, that's, like, 6 damage. And you can do some pretty cool stuff with, like, Hidden Strings, adding a lot of mana. So, again, it is something that is an option. Now I'm just gonna cut out here and we're just gonna look at a few other spells that we could be adding here. Act of Treason, I think Harnessed by Force gets a nod over that. Cards like Aetherlize, I don't think you need to do. Anger Gods will kill your own stuff. Let's just go by converted mana cost because we're only be looking at the first stuff. Dynacharge is kind of fun if you have a lot of Young Pyromancer tokens, but again, I have a whole list that actually utilizes Dynacharge. It uses Twin Flame. It uses Young Pyromancers, Akroan Crusaders, and Burning Tree Emissaries, and it just blitzes with Dynacharge. Extremely fun deck. You'll have to check it out on my channel when I have it done. Electrickery, of course, this is fine against certain strategies, but I definitely don't think it gets the nod. First Resistance only does to a blocking creature. Not for us. Magma Spray is definitely an okay sideboard, but I don't think we're worried about like Voice Resurgence at this point. Shock, yes, that's fine. And again, I think like +1/+0 First Strike. Again, Titan Strength's better. We have like Bluster Skull, another cool card that I have flirted around with. Oh, we absolutely do need Mizzium Skins. We're going to have to find some room for Mizzium Skins. I forgot about this guy. There's 2 cards like Triton Tactics and Mizzium Skins. I think Mizzium Skins a little bit better than Triton Tactics. Either Triton Tactics can affect 2, but if you overload it, you can actually affect 2 as well. But yeah, in this type of deck, I definitely think that Triton Tactics or Mizzium Skin is better than Triton Tactics. Now there's Rapid Hybridization, and guess I should pull this window out. I apologize for that. Usually I have this window out so you can actually see the cards better. Rapidization is always a useful card. Puts in a 3/3 green frog token. A lot of times you don't care about that. You can use that on your own Young Pyromancer token. But of course, I still think Hour of Need is better. We have Retracting Helix is actually kind of fun. You can return an online permanent to owner's hand. All in all, I really think that I've used Pit Fight before to make a Nivix Cyclops attack something. And same thing with Follow the Hammer. And even Lightning Strike's not a bad, but if you're going to go a Lightning Strike route, then you need to go more Chando's Phoenix, and it's a completely different deck because you aren't going to be utilizing like Nivix Cyclops, and yeah, Nivix Cyclops really takes the slot for the Chandra's Phoenix. I mean, you can definitely keep it in the deck. It has some recursion. It can get there. Again, I'd want the burn, though, because the burn's the only thing that's going to recur it, and that's Magma Jet and whatnot. So, and if you're going to go like that, I'd even think of putting like Ral Zarek in or Chandra herself. So, anywho, yeah, we can just look down the list. I've used Cyclonic Rift before. I've used Disperse before and Gainsay. But the card that I really flirt around with a lot is Inaction Injunction. This with Battlefield Thaumaturge is kind of fun because it reduces it down to 1, but you can detain a creature. That means it cannot block or attack, and you cantrip and draw a card. Because cantripping, meaning casting a spell to draw another spell, is pretty huge in this deck. So it feels like a Quicken that actually did something. A lot of times you're just using your Quicken and you're not like using it to cast a faster sorcery, but Quicken is just so cool. I think it's definitely worth it because you can Quicken Hidden Strings, you can Quicken Armed and Dangerous, and that is the difference between a lot of times just winning the game with a Guttersnipe or not. And hopefully I can show you some matches where that actually comes into handy. So another card I like to use one of is a Teleportal. Teleportal is pretty fun if you can get it overloaded. You can give all your Young Pyromancer creatures +1/+0. And again, this is pretty fun card. Maybe we'll just diversify instead of so many Titan Strengths. We'll use some of these other pump spells. But I still think Titan Strength, especially if we're going to use the Prophetic Flamespeaker, is the way to go. And yeah, I think 2 Tournament Burn is the right answer. I don't think we need to go into any of these higher casting cost cards. I mean, Counterflux is a very decent spell, especially against Esper control. And of course, like, I still think Armed and Dangerous is the right way to go with this. You can't even splash into white and start going like Boros Charm and a Johnny's Presence. Johnny's Presence and Boros Charm both give your guys indestructible, which is really cool. But I'm thinking we don't need it. So here I think like Teleportal, Blinding Flare, they both have the same function. And I think just Teleportal is better. Again, you can mess around with Blinding Flare. I can definitely see the implications there, like 2 Akroan Crusaders out. That gives you the ability to target both of them and actually get value out of them. But I don't think that Blinding Flare really is impactful enough. I think Izzet Staticaster can go to a 2 of. That's fine with me. That can cut some. Dispel and Negate, I do like keeping it to. Rouse the Mob. Again, I just think that Titan Strength is more powerful than Rouse the Mob, so we're going to cut it. And the Gorgon's Head, I'm going to keep this combo in here. I've actually had a lot of fun with it. Mizzium Skins absolutely need to be in the sideboard. So I do like usually going more Izzet Charms. I usually like going main board Izzet Charms. And I don't think we have much options to cut here, though. So I'm going to keep 2 of them in the sideboard. Twin Flame, I just don't think it quite is good enough for this deck, so we're going to cut it. And same with Polymorphous Rush. Polymorphous Rush is fun to turn in, like, again, the tokens into your opponent's... I mean, there's so many things you can actually turn them into. Your opponent's Stormbreath Dragons, for example, is really fun. Or your opponent's Desecration Demons. But... yeah, it's just not worth it in this deck. You want to be running more Battlefield Thaumaturges and whatnot. So we're going to cut it. Hour of Need, again, it just seems too expensive. We'll keep a 1 of in the sideboard. I think it's fun. And same with Harness by Force. Flames of the Firebrand, it really has the same function as like Mizzium Mortars and Turn and Burn. We're definitely going to get rid of Flames of the Firebrand, even though, again, with Battlefield Thaumaturge, it does get less expensive. But again, you want to be running more Battlefield Thaumaturges if you want to actually... utilize this. I don't think we need the Negates if we're going to keep the Izzet Charms in. And Mizzium Mortars, Magma Jet. So it's just a few things we need to cut. Maybe we'll cut a... I think Dispel still needs to get the nod. So I am going to cut a 1 of Titan Strength. Maybe both. Maybe let's go to a 2 of Titan Strength. Teleportal seems more like a sideboard card than a mainboard card as well. I think I can bring in another Izzet Charm maybe. Like, Izzet Charm never disappoints. And I can cut a 1 of Titan Strengths. Other than, I want to keep enough spells that I can actually hit the Crusader with, and the Nivix Cyclops. So I think 3 of Titan Strength is the right number. So Izzet Charm needs to come back to the sideboard. So it's just really... now we have to think if Mortars probably doesn't need to happen in this. If they're playing any late game stuff, we can lock it down in other ways. And again, it's going to be like, there's between like maybe a Dispel. I think just having a 1 of Dispel is the right way. I think this is the list we're going to run. And so looking at the value here, if we just go back to Rare Search, I think that we do have it. Quickens are a little over bulk rare. Battlefield Thaumaturge a little over bulk rare. Ogre Battledriver is a bulk rare. So we need to check the price of Temple of Epiphany. And I mean, everything else we've just swapped out for the rares that we had. So we're up to like $18 in the so yeah, we can actually let me check. Let's go back to cool stuff. Let's see how much the Temple of Epiphany is. So here's Temple of Epiphany. And they're $650 a piece, so 420. That's 24 plus another 2. That's 26. So we're up to around $40. So I'm thinking we can safely invest to make this a budget deck, to put this under our. We can pick up these played steam vents and that 1050, 1050, 1050, 1050. So that's 40. That'd be. I mean, I think that'd put us a little over. So I'm just to be safe, we're gonna add 2 steam vents into the mix, and that way we can get rid of an island and a mountain, and we can call this our budget. Like here again, this can be our budget deck. Pretty much, Yep, and I guess, with the Prophetic Flamespeaker, this probably puts us right under 100, or around there with all the commons and uncommons as well. So I'm going to go ahead and save this, and we can, again, we'll play a few games here, and hopefully I can show you this interaction with, like, Quicken and Armed and Dangerous, or even hook up an Armed and Dangerous on anything with Hidden Strings. Or, like, Hidden Strings on Prophetic Flamespeaker is so fun, too, because it untaps the land to allow you to cast both of the triggers with Prophetic Flamespeaker. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this list, and we'll have the games here shortly. This is Kevin with GatheringMagic.com. Thanks for watching.